My goal is to analyze the contents of the red pill and the blue pill to study their effects on the human mind. Each individual experiences their life as real, despite which color they choose. Mackenzie, red pill or blue pill?
Tell me them both again.
There's no definition, just
There's no reasoning behind either one. It's just color preference.
whatever you make of it.
I'm indecisive, but I can be decisive. I'm going blue.
All right. Okay.
I'm kidding.
You can if you want, it's just gelatin. All right. So he chose blue. We're going to address that more later. But first, I wanted to introduce my guest today, Mackenzie Cantrell. He is a fellow economics student. With only a few benign words, he convinced me to rethink my relationship with Adderal and turned it from a neurotic relationship to a happily productive one when I need it. How you came to the advice that you eventually gave me.
All right. Adderall, as you know, is a stimulant. It's used to treat ADHD and ADD, and its primary reasoning is that it releases more dopamine and it allows your brain to use that dopamine for focus primarily. Instead of bouncing from one activity to another, trying to get dopamine, your brain's already releasing it and you can concentrate on a single thing rather than constantly bounce back and forth. 1 in 20 people, statistically in America, on average, about 5% kids are diagnosed with ADD or ADHD and prescribed Ritalin, Adderall, other types of stimulants like that.
You know what's fascinating? Fact I looked up for this podcast actually. So 5% is the amount that the American Psychological Association, I believe it was. Here, I actually have it right here. The American Psychiatric Association suggests only 5% of American children actually have ADHD. But funny enough, the diagnosis rate in America is jumped to 11% of children by 2011. I don't know what it is today, if it's gone up or down. I kind of presume it's gone up. Maybe dialed back a little bit or
it
leveled
probably
off.
would have kept going up, honestly.
Yeah, I
Makes sense.
think so too. Yeah, I definitely feel like, especially, I don't know about with kids, but especially in our generation, shoot, I don't know a single college student who is like never tried it, and most of them I don't think are prescribed it. Why do you think it's socially acceptable? Like why do we, like, isn't it kind of like a steroid?
Because it's prescribed. When something's prescribed, people don't ask questions. They accept that a doctor has said something and a doctor has done it. They accept they're not a doctor, so society doesn't question it for the most part.
Yeah.
They don't question pharmaceutical companies or the drugs or how they were synthesized.
What about
they do?
What about like on college campuses? Because to me it seems like people seem to even find it socially acceptable for people to use it even if they're not prescribed it. Oh, he's using Adderall, yeah, he's got a test, you know. It's like, yeah, you know, like that's, you know, I feel like that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
Some sentiment
it's a
you hear.
social norm. People are like, hey, use it when you need to.
Yeah, yeah. Which I don't actually have a problem with in any, you know, way, shape, or form fundamentally, but it does seem like, you know, meaning if someone's actually like medicating to use something at the proper times, I feel like that's living life the right way. Use your resources when they come and benefit your life. But it doesn't necessarily feel like Adderall is really benefiting people. I feel like it's stripping the personality out of a lot of people, and it's making them socially like
awkward and not able to function as well. That
too, but I was actually going to say, like, it makes them meet that minimum social norm that makes them feel accepted and stuff, but I think it actually, or the ability to achieve at a level that they feel makes them feel accepted. But I think it actually robs them of their long-term potential a lot of the time.
And definitely, if used continuously at the levels they're prescribed, it does rob the person's potential and their utility in life. They're not able to enjoy and appreciate existence to the fullest.
So doesn't that show something, doesn't it almost show something like wrong with the education system that people feel the need to take it? Because to me, I don't know about you, but for me, I can't learn unless I like enjoy something. Like I don't remember unless I enjoy something. And so, or at least I'm engaged by it. And a lot of this stuff, when they're just having you do repetitive stuff, it's almost like you're trying to be like a computer referencing, inputting information you find somewhere else and put
Control F, find,
Yeah.
Control C, Control V, copy, paste,
And
copy, paste.
And it's like that's a computeristic function that frankly can kind of be done by a computer for the most part, or soon probably will be able to be done by a computer with, you know, a lot more efficiency
Oh yeah.
than humans do. So why is that the primary way that we seem to learn? Like isn't there some, does that show that something about like our school system is just what is it that needs to change?
It's not just that the school system has to change, people too have to change, but if I could first just say an analogy.
Sure.
This is referencing Adderal. If you can contemplate Adderal usage similar to resources on Earth. We've talked about different resources, and let's say you have different neurochemicals for happiness, sadness, everything that keeps you mentally balanced. Think about that as iron, lead, copper. If you're mining on Earth and you extract nothing but copper because you need copper wire for everything around the world and you want to cover the Earth with copper, you're going to run out of copper before you run out of anything else. That's the same with the neurochemicals. When you're using a pill that does something psychologically, physiologically to your body, the dopamine being released is like those elements you're extracting from the Earth.
So you think there's a permanent loss, like your equilibrium or whatever kind of comes down?
Yes.
Really? Interesting.
I wouldn't say permanent in the sense that it'll permanently change how you do life or how well you can do life, but it does for a while, because eventually you can equal things out and get them to a nice homeostasis again.
I think I see what you're saying. It's almost kind of like the metaphorical Big Bang, or you can think of it like a frequency of you.
Like maybe a pool. If you have 6 pools and they're all different liquids, if you're draining one pool and then it rains and it fills back up, it takes a while for the rain to finally fill it back up and then for everything to be neutral.
The underlying question I'm trying to get at is, why are we insane, or why are we doing what we're doing if we're not insane? Because it seems to me like, you know, every parent's goal is for their kids to be happy and successful or whatever. Usually with the health dynamic being very relevant in that. But I feel like this is making us very unhealthy, and it's affecting a lot of people. And it's like there's just a miscommunication where, you know, the parent seems to think that they're helping, and the kid, you know, sees the parent's like pleasure with what their change in action, and so they associate a positive effect to the chemical. But I feel like it is stifling humanity and really turning us into robots. And I just wonder, like, can we turn back from this? Are we going to turn back from this? What do we do about this?
I definitely think we can turn back from this. A lot of people already are. A lot of people have realized the effects of these drugs and what they do to people, and how repetitive use is not something that should be done, especially with young children.
Really? Wait, so people are realizing that? Why with children is it worse?
It's like taking any drug. You don't drink a lot when you're a child. Your liver can't process it. Adderall does work on your liver and damage it as well, like any drug. So just anything that disrupts the mind of anyone under, you know, mid-20s, before their like prefrontal cortex is fully formed, there's going to be a different influence that'll affect you later in life. Drugs don't permanently disable you. Many people have negative connotations toward drugs, thinking if I take this once or 100 times, I just won't be able to function. It's not true. You'll be able to function no matter what you do, as long as you survive and you're not in a comatose state. It's realistically the interpretation of the existence you're perceiving that changes as you mess with your conscious state.
Yeah, it really is altering your consciousness, and that's what's so sad about it. Is it's like we're telling kids that you are unhappy because you are doing this wrong. So you need to sort of take this chemical so you will be happy doing the thing that needs to be done, rather than, you know, just do this other thing, because clearly this doesn't need to be done if you hate it this much. Or, you know, it's hard to say though, because then are you setting your kid up for failure? Because you do want them to succeed in the rat race. You know, we don't like to call it that, but we all want our kids to be economically successful.
Of course. You want them to be happy. That's the thing too with drugs. I mean, if you cut your leg Are you going to come to me for stitches?
Nope.
You're going to go to a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Most people are going to look at a bruise on the head. They're not going to talk to their buddy. They're thinking they're hemorrhaging. They're not going to be like, hey, dude, am I okay? No, they're going to want a doctor to be like, hey, did an MRI, no blood vessels popped, no hemorrhaging internally. You're fine. Go home, you're going to have a headache. We have a certain trust for doctors because we know medical doctors like just the normal physician, the person who checks up on you physically and makes sure that your body's functioning. We have that same positive connotation with all doctors, as long as you have that Dr. last name and the scribbly handwriting. So when people go to a psychiatrist or a psychiatrist diagnoses their child, parents of young children are fearful. The child's young. They haven't really acclimated to raising another human being. So when someone tells them they have this, and a lot of it's business oriented too. Pharmacists work with specific brands because they get more money for having X over Y when they both cure the same symptoms. So you have different things that can be generic, original, whatever it is. They both are meant to cure X or Y, but the pharmacist is paid for X more, and the more they diagnose, the more money they make, is the more consistent clients they have.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a psychiatrist, you need to see someone once a month, maybe 30 people, so that you're busy throughout the week, making good money. Psychiatrists aren't going to make the same six-figure salary if there isn't a demand.
I see what you're saying. So you think that moral hazard really has a large effect on why it's so overprescribed?
And the education system too facilitates doctors to diagnose based on comments without any physiological thing happening.
On what?
Comments. Just talking. I mean, if you talk to your psychiatrist,
oh yeah,
that's how you get prescribed things. They don't look inside your brain. They don't see something like there's internal hemorrhaging. They just say like, you feel sad.
Yeah.
Okay. They write down depression.
Yeah. It's like we're almost all just fortune tellers.
What are we being paid for? What does this exact psychiatric clinic do? Okay, we have these I can prescribe you. I make more money off this one. I'm gonna give you Zoloft.
Yeah, it always seems like it's a pill though. It's so unhuman. Aren't all human cures really other humans? Like meaning, like
that's why you need a psychologist instead of a psychiatrist.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, but the thing is, psychiatrists, you almost feel like you're getting ripped off if you go to a psychologist. Like
exactly, because they can't give you the good stuff, and that's what everyone thinks. They're all like,
and they're not, and they don't get to be called a doctor, even though they're healing you. Oh, really?
PhDs.
No, I'm saying. Oh, sorry. Oh, but can't PhD psychologists prescribe medicine?
No, you have to be a psychiatrist. You have to go to medical school for it. You have to have taken biochem, OChem.
Well, I'm thinking more of like there's like a ton of masters or bachelors psychology majors. And to me, it's like if you major in psychology, you dedicate 4 years of your life to a discipline. You should know how to like help people psychologically. It just doesn't make sense for that not to be the case. And I know so many psychology majors who know. Yes, they probably know, and not even always, but they probably know, what Freud philosophically thought the existential basic human condition was, but they don't have any idea of how to tell someone how to get out of a dark place and actually how to make them, get out of that dark place. Like, shouldn't we be teaching things that we can actually achieve? Because I feel like we're just teaching people to yell at the wind.
I think we're getting a lot better at that with the evolvement. With the evolving field of neuroscience. Neuroscience has derived from psychology, and that's completely changed our perception of how the brain works. In 1967, Dr. Mersenich, he was a psychologist, he discovered neuroplasticity. He discovered this from different research, and a man had a heart attack, a stroke. 90% of his brain was dead. 90% of the neurons, the brain cells, were dead. He was still conscious and functioning. He couldn't move his body. He realized neuroplasticity is real.